Good afternoon, everyone, or I believe it's still good morning. I really don't know, it's 11 a.m. Okay, today we will continue with vector spaces, direct sum, and the end of chapter 4. We were waiting for you. Once we start seeing you, we already took the decision to start. So as I told you, today I will need to look in specific to how to get intersection between two subvector spaces, the direct sum of vectors, the projection of vectors based on the direct sum rules. And also we will have some problems from previous exams. Okay, let's start step by step. One of the major questions that you will face at the midterm, at the next midterm and on the final, is how to identify an intersection between two subvector spaces. Please leave your cell phones, just focus on it. Here, for example, or this question is really very important, he's asking you how to identify the intersection between two subvector spaces. What are the steps? So, let's consider for an intersection F comes to G means all vectors that belongs to both of them, and we really know that from the previous session. So F intersection G, it is the set of all vectors V which belongs to F and also belongs to G. Okay, the first step, each subspace, before going to how to evaluate the intersection, the subvector spaces, we have two ways to give you a subvector space. And you're really familiar with both of them. The span version, which is gonna give you the generators of this subvector space. What's the difference between the span and the basis pattern? The span is just only a set of vectors, of objects, of functions to be general. So it's just the generators of this subvector space. There is no condition that these subvector spaces are linearly independent. So some of them may be dependent. This is what's called span. The basis, it is the minimum set that's gonna be independent and generating the vector space. That's the span form. What's the equation form, Ms. Seda? The equation form will be given to you as f, x, y, and z, if it is in the 3 dimension or something, and satisfying certain condition. Like x plus y equals 0, like x plus y plus z equals 0, something like this. Of course, I can change, Ms. Jana, the equation form into the span form by making the substitution and taking constant scalars, and then you will have the set or the generators of this subvector space. So mainly, this is how it's going to be given, either by span or an equation. We will form equations in order to get the intersection from the definition. Once more, what's the definition of intersection? A vector belongs to both of them. I will depend on this reality. I will invent a vector, okay, that depend on the first set and also depend on the second set. How it is going to be dependent on a set or depend on a set? Simply, it's going to be a linear combination. So I can express V, for example, belongs to F as K1, F1, K2, F2, and so on, where K1, K2 are all constants. Same way this channel, I can express the same vector as a linear combination from the second set. The intersection means these two vectors or this vector should be the same. So I would equate both of the linear combination from the two different bases. This is the main equation. So simply I will get S1 times F1, S2 times F2, which is the span of the first set, and it's going to equal to T1, G1, T2, G2, which means the constants times the span of the second set. In order, as yet, to have an example to illustrate the idea, it's really very simple. Okay, let's look at this. I have F, which is spanned by the set 1, 2, 3, 0, 1. That's the generators of this subvector space. And let's have G, which has triple 1. I need to find F intersection G. How to find it? It's really very simple. All I have to do is to bring A, B, C, okay, which are constants. I need to find the values of these constants. If in order to prove the condition. So it's very, very simple. I will make a linear combination from the first two vectors. How it's gonna be applied, Ms. Jana? It's gonna be A times 1, 2, 3 plus B times 0, 1, 1. And at the intersection, it should equal to C times triple 1. That's the equation that I will build up how to find the intersection span on. So I've made a linear combination from the first span and they make it equal to the linear combination from the second span. Are you with me? Of course, this equation defines the vector which is combined between the two subvector spaces. It's logic, simple, and very easy. This system, how to solve it, Mr. Farid? It's really very simple to solve. All I have to do is just to move this guy from the left-hand side to the right-hand side, or vice versa. So I would have an homogeneous solution containing AB minus C. Here we go. That's the augmented matrix. Please look at this. I will try to change this equation, Ms. Nada, into a homogeneous one. How to change this equation into a homogeneous one? Make it equal to 0. How it's going to be equal to 0? Just move this guy to the other side. معايا Mr. Farid? دلوقتي الcoefficients is going to be like this. This is the first vector, which is 1, 2, 3, which is the coefficients of A. And the second vector, which is 0, 1, 1, which is the coefficient in the three equations, but relative to B. And then the coefficients of C variables, which are -1, -1, -1. Let's say that. Why negative signs? Because we moved them. Yes, you are right. From the right side to the left side. Can you see it? Okay, start work your magic. Start searching this system. Searching for what? The values of A, B, and C. So you are now having a system of equations, 3 equations and 3 unknowns, and you are lucky, it's homogeneous. So all I have to do is to use the row operations in order to reduce the system into either reduced echelon form or echelon form, in order to find the values of A, B, C. So simply, I would multiply the first row, -2, added on the second row, then multiply the first row, -3, added on the third row. This is what you are going to get from the first step. Second step, Mr. Farid. I will take the pivot of the second row and then force the element of the last row to be 0. So simply, I will multiply the second row by -1 and add it on the last row. Let's do it. It's done. Miss Nada, look to the final shape. That's the final equation. If you look to the final equation, you will discover the following. That's an echelon form. Am I right? That's an echelon form. Okay? So if you look to this echelon form, you will discover this is with a rank of 3. The rank is 3, which means you will have a unique solution. And the solution of the unique solution for a homogeneous system, what's gonna be, Miss Sayda? A is gonna equal to B, is gonna equal to C, all of them will equal to 0. Which means when A and B and C are all equal to zeros, that the intersection of these two subvector spaces is 0. So simply, now I can have the reduced echelon form. A is equal to 0, B is equal to 0, C is equal to 0. So all of them is equal to zeros. Now I have the linear combination. So if I need this vector, which is combined between F and G, I will take A and B and substitute in the left-hand side. I will get the vector. 0 times whatever, 0 times whatever. I have V, triple zeros. Am I right, Mr. Farid? Similarly like the C, if you just substitute in this part, so it's going to be 0 times triple 1, also equal to 0. So it's already, the combined vector between them is 0, 0, and 0. Any questions? تفضل.
ازاي reduce echelon form؟
ها؟
دي كده ازاي؟
لا 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 it's an echelon form. There is the reduced echelon form. It is the reduced echelon form. I will multiply -1 and add on the second row. Then I will add the third row into the first row. It will be 0. It's very simple.
وبعد كده بقى عملنا ايه؟
مفيش معهوش حاجة. Once this is the echelon form, the reduced, this is echelon form. The first column is already adjusted, the second is adjusted. You will have just only to adjust the last column. So I will multiply the third row in -1 and then add it on the second row. Then I will add the last row on the first row. This is what you get. This is the result.
انا بتكلم مع بعضيها.
خلاص, it's done. This is a system of equations. صح? Which is A, B, C. Which means A is equal to 0. B is equal to, and C is equal to 0. So the only solution is 0, 0, and 0. Okay, if in another system, if in another subvector space, we have reached, okay, Ms. Shana, the reduced echelon form was like this. Let's say, it's just invented from my mind. So let's say in another subvector space, I did all the steps, and finally, Ms. Sayda, I ended up having 1, 0, and 0. Then I had 0, 1, and 0. Then -1, 1, and 0. And of course, the last column is all zeros. And also, I'm solving for ABC. In this case, I will have, Mr. Farid, an infinite number of solutions for A, B, and C. So there is a relation between these variables. And it's easy to find it, which means that A plus C, that A equals C and B is equal to -C. From the first equation, it's going to be A minus C equal to 0, which will lead to Farid, A equals C. From the second equation, B plus C is equal to 0, from which you can find that B is equal to -C. If I want to find the value, okay, of the vector that I'm talking about, all I have to do is to substitute. So simply, the intersection will be, if this is the case, and that's the problem. You read me? All I have to do is to make the substitutions. So V is gonna equal to C times 1, 2, 3, plus I will remove B by -C, so it's gonna be C times 0, -1, and the -1. And that's the shape of the vectors, the set of vectors for the intersection, which can be represented by the set of 1, 2, 3, and 0, -1, and -1. So the intersection between them, it's just only the addition of these two vectors, which is going to come up to 0 plus 1, which is going to be 1, and then 1, then -1 times plus 3, it's going to give you also another value. So that's the solution for getting V, which is C1 plus C2 after the substitution. So that's the intersection. Of course, if this equation is correct with the solution of the system, you will find this is 1, 1, and 1. This is must happen. If you take the value, of course, this is A is equal to C, B is equal to -C, and C is equal to itself. So once you substitute, you will have the same value of the vector on the other side. That's when leave you with F intersection G, it's gonna be the set of the vectors 1, 1, and 1. Farid, are you with me? Okay, I will repeat it once more. I am in between the major thing. If you want to get the intersection between two subvector spaces, I will use the linear combination for the first subvector space and the linear combination of the second vector space. I will bring them all together. I will have a system. I will solve it. Once you solve this homogeneous system, you are in between two cases. Either the solution at this problem will be the unique solution, that's A, B, C equal to zeros, which means the intersection between this subvector space and that vector space in the origin. That's the correct solution. Are you with me in this case? in other problems, if I've reached this shape, look at this case. So I've tried to work it out. Of course, this is not tried for this problem. You understand, right? Okay? But if it happened for another problem, this is the case that I have. Now I will have an infinite number of solutions. This infinite number of solutions will imply that A must equal to C and B is equal to negative C. A and B, I can use them to give the set of vectors V that belongs to F. And if I used C, the other condition, and substitute it here, you will get the same set of vectors that are belong to G. And then the intersection between them, it will be this set. معايا فريد؟ معايا زياد؟ أنا كده وضحت الفكرة؟ There is no other alternatives because you have just only a homogeneous system of equations. You are in between. Either unique solution مسندة or infinite number of solutions. Okay? So it's really very simple. Any questions? زياد؟ خلاص؟ تمام؟ Okay, perfect. طبعا we will get the chance to see more problems down the road, but I just wanted to put this problem here just to make it obvious to you. Similar manner, okay, that's the exact results and they will equal to 0, and in this case it's going to equal to 0. If I want how to identify the union between two subvector spaces. Now the union means I will take this set of vectors plus this set of vectors without the addition or changing the shape of the vectors for the union. Usually the union, in most cases, the union is of two subvector spaces ya Farid, is not going to lead to a subvector space. Because it will break the addition condition in order to have a subvector space. Are you with me? Except in the case if you have one of these two subvector spaces is a subset from the other. Then in this case, the union will be a subvector space, okay? Okay, so once more, the union F union G, such that it's the set of vectors such that V belongs to F or V belongs to G. F union G is not generally a subspace. It's gonna be only a subspace when F, G are contained in each other or one of them is contained in the other. Okay, very good. Let us use the previous example. I will get back to the previous example. I have F, which is 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 1, and the span 1, the union here is really very simple because the intersection is the origin. You understand what I'm saying? So there is no common vectors or sets between them. So the union will be just only the set of the vectors that exist 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 1, 1. But the addition between these two vectors is not going to be or to belong to the union of this set. Are you with me, Farid? So we are talking about these three vectors exactly. They are linearly independent, and so they are going to form it. Remark: 1, 2, 3 belongs to F. 1, 1 belongs to G. But remark, for example, 0.5, 1.5, 2.5 is not belonging to their union. Simply because 0.5, 1.5, 2.5 is composed of multiplying the 1 in negative half and adding it on the first row. So it's a linear combination between both of them. It's not gonna belong to this subvector space. Are you with me? This is why it's not a subvector space. معايا سيدة? Are you with me, Jana? Okay, this is really, very important. While in the case of the addition of two subvector spaces, the addition of two subvector spaces, I will have the separate groups and the linear combinations from all of them. This is why it's going to be a subvector space. So now, in case of addition, so I have V belongs to F plus V belongs to G, which means generally it's a subvector space. Let us use the previous example. So now I have the span of F union G with all the vectors that will be combined from all of them. So the span will be the first two vectors plus 1, which is gonna be, since they are linearly independent, they are the basis for both of them. يعني ايه basis Miss Nada? يعني all possible linear combination between these three vectors. Are you with me? So simply I can formulate, of course, something like the previous example, which is 0.5, 1.5, and 2.5. It's simply by multiplying this guy by negative 0.5. It's an example. By negative 0.5 and adding on the first, it will give you any combination between the three vector spaces. Between the three vectors. Okay? كلامي واضح؟ هعيده تاني بسرعة. الانترسكشن ازاي اقدر احدده؟ الانترسكشن ازاي اقدر احدده؟ بعمل linear combination من الفيرست سب فيكتور سبيس، linear combination من السكند فيكتور سبيس واسويهم ببعض. هجيب الليفت هاند سايد تو رايت هاند سايد او فايس فيرسا. في الحالة دي يبقى عندي هوموجينيوس سيستم. صح؟ احله. قدامي كام طريقة في الحل؟ النتيجة ممكن تطلع ايه؟ حاجتين. يا اما يونيك سولوشن، وفي الحالة اللي انا هوموجينيوس سيستم هيبقى الاي بيساوي البي بيساوي السي كلهم بكام؟ بزيروز. في الحالة دي in this case the intersection only will be the origin. Okay? Which means they don't have intersection. لأن ده sub vector space فalready الشيرد ممبر هيبقى مين؟ الاوريجن which is trivial solution. طيب لو كان infinite number of solutions, so there is a relation connecting A with C, B with C, and so on. Okay? طيب in this case I will take A and B and substitute in the first subvector space. Then you combine again the vector. Or take C or D and substitute in the second subvector, you will get the same vector. Are you with me? Okay, we are done from the intersection. What's the meaning of union? الاتحاد, union. It means the set of vectors here was the set of vectors here. And they are all added together. Okay? But of course without repetition. So if I have a repeated vector between, if the intersection is not equal to 0, I will take just only once one of the repeated vectors to appear in the addition. The linear combination between them is not with you. The difference, that's the union definition. ده الاتحاد. طب الاديشن مجموع. In case of the addition, you will have the same set of linear combination of both of them, and both of them combined together. So it's a huge set. This is why the addition usually is going to be a sub-vector space. Okay. تعال بص على الاكزامبل اللي جاي ده، وده اكزامبل موجود في الميني سلايدز. بس قبل ما اخش فيه، السؤال ده كان موجود في امتحان قبل كده على الفيكتور سبيسز. خلي بالك الجزء بتاع الفيكتور سبيسز مش اظرف حاجه في الامتحان. لان زي ما انت شفت من اللي احنا شفناه قبل كده، احنا عارفين يعني ايه فيكتور سبيس، عارفين يعني ايه سب فيكتور سبيس، عارفين يعني ايه لينير كومباينيشن، عارفين يعني ايه اندبندنس، ايوه رايت، ديبندنت اند نوت اندبندنت، عارفين يعني ايه سبان، عارفين يعني ايه بيزس، بس ما شفناهمش يلعبوا مع بعض. فدي ار ريلي فيري كونفيوزنج. ماشي؟ كمان احنا النهارده اكدنا على معلومه انت شفتها قبل كده، انه in order to give you a sub vector space مش جنى، how many ways I should give you, or maybe two ways. The equation type or the span type. تعالوا نقرا السؤال ده سوا. بيقول question number 6 in R4 by the idea. In this midterm, I believe it's the midterm of the last year or something. This is question number 6. So there is 5 questions before this question. All of them are working with linear transformation and the remaining of our course. Do you hear what I'm saying? This is just only the question about vectors only. معايا فريق؟ اوكي يلا once more. طبعا هنا بيديك تشكيله. Question in R4 we are talking about 4 sub-vector spaces. In F is given A, B, C, D belongs to R4 such that B minus D is equal to 0 and the A plus 2C is equal to 0. This is which type of sub-vector spaces? An equation type. Am I right? That's an equation type. How to change it to be a span type? Very simple. I will use the leads that's given to me. So simply, I can say that B is equal to D, so this is going to be D, and this is C, and the A is equal to 2 over C, am I right? And this is D. That's the definition after substitution. So I have replaced B with D, and I've replaced A with negative 2C. Please be careful about the signs. Negative 2C. Now I can separate it into two groups. Okay? The first group will be negative 2C, 0, C and 0. And the second set will be 0, then D, then 0, then D. And such that C and D belongs to the set of real numbers. And that's a plus. The second step, I can get the basis. The basis is gonna be negative 2, 0, 1 and 0, which is the set of the first vector, with the linear with the other set, or the other formation, 0, 1, 0, 1. And that's the basis of this subvector space. The basis بتاعته. طيب, the other set, which is G, خلاص حلو قوي انا مديك البيزس بتاعته. يبقى كده خلاص انا استفدت من الفيرست والسكند. يجي الفيرست كويستشن مس فاتن. First question is 2010 0101 is a basis for F. هو ده basis بتاع F؟ لا. ليه بقى لا؟ لأن دي هنا بكام؟ لكن هنا بكام؟ يبقى once more أنا بأكد عليك على الغتاتة. شايف؟ هو مديلك الاثنين وسواء مين يا فريد؟ إشارة. طبعا بالتأكيد أول ما ده بيحصل في الامتحان أكيد طبيعي لولا إن أنا حليتها بس أكتر من مرة. هرجع أعمل إيه تاني؟ هبص عليها تاني. ولا أنا غلطان؟ عشان الإشارة بتاعت النيجاتيف. يبقى ده معناه إن الفيرست alternative I'm not gonna use. صح؟ I'm not gonna choose. يبقى الأولاني ده مش هبص له، مش هعلم عليه. طيب، لأن هو بيقول in these conditions indicate which of the statements the statement or the statements is or are true. يعني ماشي الحال؟ يبقى الأولاني مش هعلم عليه. Mr. Farid, let's go for the second statement. معايا say that? Second statement. Is dimension F doesn't equal to dimension G? Is dimension F it's not gonna equal to dimension G? Should I choose it or not? مش هتشوز it. أنا واحد من الناس هتلاقيني كده بالطبيعي هتشوز it. ليه؟ لأن ده باثنين وده باثنين فأنا بفرح جدا إنهم زي بعض، فاهم؟ واخد بالك أنا بقول إيه؟ لكن هو اكشوال بيديلك ان الدايمنشنز بينهم مالهم مش بيساووا بعض، مش انهم بيساووا بعض. دايمنشن ده 2 والدايمنشن ده 2. هو يعني ايه دايمنشن مش فاهم؟ number of independent vectors in the basis. صح؟ الجنريتنج او الجنريتورز يعني. هنا 2 هنا 2 يبقى هم المفروض انهم equal to each other. يبقى ده معناه ان this is not gonna be chosen. ده مش هختاره ده مش هختاره. Are you with me؟ طيب السؤال اللي بعده، هل F plus G belongs to R4؟ طب تعرف مين؟ F plus G، ويعني ايه F plus G؟ بس ندى. يعني ايه F plus G؟ مش احنا كنت لسه من شويه بنقول F plus G؟ يعني أول حاجة لازم أتشيك if this set and that set are linearly independent ولا linearly dependent؟ These two sets are linearly independent. طب how to check انهم linearly independent؟ حطهم في ماتريكس وشوفهم هيدوا لك يونيك سوليوشن ولا مش هيديك يونيك سوليوشن. طبعا لما احطهم في ماتريكس، الماتريكس دي هتبقى ايه؟ 4 rows و how many columns؟ 2 columns. هت end up having 2 by 2 which means a unique solution. That's the first and second sets are independent. لذلك الجنريتنج ست هيبقى فيها كام فيكتور؟ 4. الاثنين بتوع الاف والاثنين بتوع مين؟ الجي. ده بتاع ار 4. طبعا لما بحطهم مع بعض لازم اعمل التشيك انهم اندبندنت. ازاي بعمل التشيك انهم اندبندنت؟ احط الفيرست فيكتور، السكند فيكتور، الثيرد فيكتور، الفورث فيكتور، كده اصبحوا 4 فيكتور. صح؟ am I right؟ بعدين I try to work it out using the matrices in order to get reduce the echelon form. لو طلب باليونت ماتريكس يبقى كده الاربعه اندبندنت. am I right؟ so it's gonna be correct. يبقى اذا ده هيبقى correct. طيب بص كده، الجي اللي هي A B C D belongs to R4. الجي دي تنتمي ل R4 تحت الكونديشنز دي. يبقى انا لازم تو ابلاي ذيس كونديشنز. الكونديشنز دي بتقول ايه؟ ان الاي بكام؟ يعني اذا ده معناه ان انا عندي ست الاي بتاعها بزيرو، والبي بيساوي سي، يعني ده سي، البي بيساوي نيجاتيف سي، نيجاتيف سي وسي ودي. Same way like it's gonna be a 0, then negative 1, 1 and 0, والother set اللي انت بتتكلم عليها it's gonna be 0, 0, 0 and 1. بص على الست اللي احنا جايبينها من this subvector space which is G. بص على دي وR4 اللي جايبه F بلس G، هتلاقي 0, 1, negative 1 and 1, 0, negative 1, 1 and 1 which are the same. ما هو ده يعتبر اللي فوق، لان ده بيتضرب في any number any scalar belongs to the other set. Am I right to say that؟ يبقى إذا the same. لا اهو سوري ايوه يا باشا، ده سوري مش ده
ماشي. بس انا
ما هو تريبل 1 تريبل 0 1 هو تريبل 0 3. مش لازم الاثنين مو فيكتور.
هو اصلا اول فيكتور ده ممكن يفهم حاجه مختلفه.
يختلف زي ما يختلف معايا، مش فارق. اوكي، بس تاني طبعا انا شلت دي وحطيت 0، شلت البي وحطيت نيجاتيف سي، فاصبح 0 نيجاتيف سي اند 0. بالتالي ده هيجيب الانفورميشن الاولاني وده الشكل الثاني. اتس ا سبست فروم ار 4 لسبب، لان طالما ده 4 كوردينتس، جي ده 4 كوردينتس، اتس ا بارت اوف ار 4 كله. معايا يا شباب؟ مش كده وبس، بص كمان خلاص ده الكونديشن هنا، طالما الكونديشن ده موجود خلاص يبقى اذا الجي از بارت اوف ار 4. ما تنساش ان ار 4 موجود في الست دي بلس الست اللي موجوده دي، يعني these two sets. فهو فور شور a linear combination from both of them. since it is يعني ده تشانس اصلا ان هو موجود. لو انت عايز تتشيك بالفعل، يعني انا بعمل تشيك سريع يا فريد، بس طبعا خلي بالك ان ده ينفع يكون linear combination. لو انت عايز تبقى بي شور اتاكد سهل قوي، خد الفاكتور اللي انت بتتكلم عليه ده وشوفه belongs to the set of f plus g، وخد الفيكتور الثاني شوفه belongs to the set of f plus g. خلاص يبقى بينتمي ل R4. ده انت عايز ان ديتيلز ماشي، بس طالما ان هو موجود على واحد بس فيهم اتس اوكي belongs to this. طيب هل f intersection g بيساوي 0؟ هعمل نفس السيكونس اللي انا كنت عامله، بس انا محتاج حد يديني المعادله. حد يقدر يقول لي المعادله بتاعت الانترسكشن هنا عاملاها ازاي؟ شباب مش معايا؟ عايز اجيب الانترسكشن بين اف اند جي، اجيبه ازاي؟ انا هكتب الايكويشن بس، يعني هيبقى A في بلس B في، المفروض انه يساوي C بلس D السيستم اللي انا هحله ده هحله هوموجينيوس سيستم. السيستم ده يبقى كام في كام؟ 4 باي 4 صح؟ هحل السيستم 4 باي 4. لما اجي احل السيستم ده السيستم الهوموجينيوس، الفيرست فاكتور هيبقى 0 1 نيجاتيف 1 and 1، سكند فاكتور 0 0 and 3، الثيرد فاكتور خلي بالك هيبقى 2 0 نيجاتيف 1 and 0، اللاست فاكتور هيبقى 0 نيجاتيف 1 0 and نيجاتيف 1، وطبعا دول كلهم بيساووا 0 is equal to zeros. I'm going to solve this system of equations in order to find A, B, C, and D. After you find A, B, C, and D, it will be, of course, if you try to reach it to a reduced echelon form or an echelon form, it will be with rank 4, fourth rank, which means A, B, C, D will equal to zeros. Okay? بالتالي هيبقى الانترسكشن بتاعهم بيديك الاوريجن، دي الستبس لينسنج ستبس. اوكي؟ فده مثال زي ما انا قلت لك لبروبلم في الامتحان. طبعا احنا we will solve the exams down the road، بس I thought just to give you this one. بص كده. طبعا دي الاجابات الصح اللي هي C و D و E. A to see if it is a basis for F, just remark that's the difference in negative 2. Number B, both of them they have two factors, so dimension is correct. Number C, the basis is going to be the 4 vectors, 2 for F, 2 for G, and all of them are independent. Number D, you will have 0, negative C, C, and D, which is 0, negative 1, 1, and 0, and triple zeros, which is a linear combination from any vector in R4 or from this one. Also, you will have F basis equal to G basis for the intersection. Just solve this equation, solve the system. It's going to be a homogeneous system, and you will find A, B, C, D equal to zeros, which means the intersection is equal to 0. أي مشاكل؟ بص على السؤال ده كده. بص على السؤال ده كده. حد يقرا معايا كده واحدة بواحدة. بيقول drag and drop to obtain necessary true sentences. Okay, consider the following vector subspace of R3. بيديك الفيكتور الأولاني أو مديك السبفيكتور الأولاني is x, y and z belongs to R3. ومديك two conditions. X negative 2y equal to 0, y plus z is equal to 0. And مديك F x, y, z belongs to R3, where x minus y plus z is equal to 0. Then he will need you to find the basis of E, the basis of F, height of intersection, and the addition. Any ideas? أعمل إيه؟ هحله إزاي؟ بسرعة، أنتوا الكل دلوقتي يقدر يعملها. قول لي.
طلع أرقام يو اف.
يعني إذا بكل بساطة هخش في ده، أخلي أشيل إكس وأحط مكانها 2y am I right؟ وده الواي، بعدين الزد ممكن اشيل الزد واحط مكانها نيجاتيف واي am I right؟ طيب حلو قوي، ده الست الاولاني، يعني اذا ده معناها انا ريبليس الاكس ب 2 واي وريبليس الزد بواي، يعني اذا ده 2 1 ونيجاتيف 1. اوكي، ده البيزس فور اي اوف اي. هبدا ابص تحت فين البيزس دي؟ 2 1 ونيجاتيف 1. يبقى ده لو سميت ده ايه يبقى دي نمبر ايه. خلي بالك انك ممكن تختار اكتر من، يعني ممكن احد الاوبشنز يبقى كوريكت مود وانس. اذا بيزس فور اف، مين البيزس بتاعت الاف؟ اعمل ايه؟ سيمبلي رايت. بس في المرحله دي انا هخلي الاكس بيساوي واي ماينس زي، ام اي رايت؟ صح؟ بعدين اعمل سبستيتيوشن، يبقى واي ماينس زي وواي وزي اهم، يعني ده معناه واي 0